so that she might spend her life in service to your people. Through her example and prayers, may we learn to express our love for you and love for our fellow men and women. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. Elizabeth Ann Seaton, pray for us. Father, Son, Spirit. Good evening. My name is Anna Robleski. I am the senior past counselor. However, tonight I am also helping with the role of Ms. Jennings, who is our
I need to
dean of
transit
student
here.
activities, and
Okay.
talking a little bit about expenses and fundraising options for the senior class to help pay for our prom and
Again.
other expenses. We'll then have our rep Jostens also have a little bit of a talk about senior, memorabilia, and then we'll get to what we're really all paying here for, and that is, paying for college.
People can see
and
this
that
one, not
whole
this one.
how do we do
Okay,
it,
so that
and
you have
how
a
the
chance, a few
scholarships work,
seconds
and
to
everything else
transit.
that entails. Ms. Erin Davis will be here to talk to us about all of that, who has been working with seniors for the last over 20 years. So,
Miss Maureen is coming, you will change the frame. Okay. Again, you will step up on her and then go.
Okay, so we're going to start. This is clearly the class of 2024, and going over some expenses and fundraising opportunities. Okay, so how much do you need to raise for your senior year expenses? So essentially, prom's expensive, tickets are expensive. This is kind of just an overall how much graduation usually costs, and activities, based on each family.
Okay.
So prom tickets, go from anywhere from $50 to $120. So it's all, determined by the venue. And the important thing is fundraising. As you know, the girls have been, fundraising all 3 years. This is now the last big push for fundraising. Some people do promposals. So, I don't know if your daughters are doing the proposal, it might be someone else, if it is Seaton's prom, or how that works, but, this is just kind of the overall cost. Prom dresses, as you guys all know, prom dresses are expensive, depending on how much you budget for. Okay, so you got the shoes, the jewelry, the accessories, the corsage, the boutonniere, hair, makeup. So essentially, the dinner, the limousine.
I have a question.
So the average cost is usually can be up to $1,000 per person. So it's why it's important that we do some fundraising.
Because it's on
And
there
so
now,
here we
this
go.
camera
We've got
on
the big
there. Okay.
fundraiser is the Joe Corby's
I should
Prayers for
transit to
May that are
this.
together. All of your daughters, all the seniors heard about this today and got a packet and a letter that has all the information for you to register. I know that there's so many different things that they sell. They have pizza, snacks, cookie dough, desserts. I think the sale goes till October 19th. The delivery is in November, so you can use them for Thanksgiving or Christmas to sell them to your coworkers, to your friends, to your family. So here's the big part. If your daughter sells 10 items, they earn a half price prom ticket. They sell 15 items, they earn 1 free prom ticket. 20 items, they earn 1.5. And 20 sell 25 items, and they will earn 2 free prom tickets. Again, there's a bonus. There's a bonus for the top seller, and then there's a random drawing for $100 as well. Okay, so here is, you can register and share. You go to joecorby.com. I think on your daughters they had a QR code, so they should have been able to do that. You can ask others to support, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, coaches, teachers. If you register, if they register today, they get a chance at the Crack the Vault, which has over $20,000 in it. And that's just by registering. You don't even have to sell anything. But the more that they sell, the better their prom and the more money they have for their prom. So your daughters received the brochure and the instruction letter today with the QR code. If you have any questions about it, you can ask them. Or reach out to Miss Jennings or Miss O'Meara at Seaton, and they can give you the information as well. Okay. Lastly, like we said, we just to help them and to be able to pay for it for a prom. Okay, are there any questions on that? No, like Elizabeth Seton, we don't make any money off of it. It goes into their fundraising, so it goes to help pay for their prom cost. It really depends on how many students sell and how many items they sell. So I don't keep track of that because I'm the counselor, so you'd have to ask Ms. Jennings. Yep, any other questions? Okay, so now we're going to move on to the slides from Justin. Okay.
Can you take it like a bit closer? Becky, take the microphone a bit closer. We need this microphone because the sound is not good.
Good evening,
As
families. How
much
are
as
you
you
doing?
can.
Good. This is an exciting time. I know that there's a lot going on. So this year, because you guys have seniors, they've worked really hard to get to this moment, and we want to celebrate them as much as you want to celebrate them. So I am Lindsay Glant with Jostens. I'm your local representative. So last year, it's been kind of a quirky couple of years because of COVID and everything, but last year I was the one that helped them with their class rings. And this year I'm here to talk about their graduation items and most importantly, the cap and gown. So I enjoy working with your students and I look forward to seeing them through this year and walk across the stage in May of 24. I'm getting ahead of myself. So each one of you is going to get a little package of information. I was not here today to talk to the seniors, so they do not have this. So before you leave today, make sure to pick one up. This is, there's not much in it, but it just has a little bit of information of the things that Jostens does offer, what is available to you, and then how to order your cap and gown. So there's a QR code on here that you go to Jostens' website, enter in Elizabeth Seton, but this will go right to your page to place your order for your graduation items and most importantly your cap and gown. You can get a graduation package. You don't have to get a graduation package. I did put this year a sample of the graduation announcement. I'm kind of glad that I'm talking to you all today because last year and in years past, sometimes families didn't realize that this was happening. And so at the end of the year, they wanted announcements and they weren't available to get at the time. So we have our own Elizabeth Seton traditional announcement. It's not inviting anybody to the graduation, it's just having the date, time, and place in it to announce to family and friends that your student is in fact graduating. So we have all different things in the packages that go along with that. You can also get apparel. This is not Elizabeth Seton apparel, it's just generic class of 24 apparel, a key ring, and then a souvenir tassel. I want to be clear with this because this is the number one question I get. The cap and gown does come with the tassel that they wear on graduation. So any additional tassel is just a keepsake item for you all. So when you're placing your order, just make sure that you know that because some people just don't know, so they buy an extra tassel. Some people want to buy an extra tassel just to have on hand. So when we're talking about the cap and gown unit, the cap and gown unit is paid for by the school, but we need to record your student's height and weight. So it is still mandatory that you go online and order your cap and gown, okay? So you're gonna need to know your student's height and weight when you place that order. Again, it's gonna come up online, $0, but we still need you to do that because it records their height and weight so we know exactly and they'll come sized appropriately. When you get the cap and gown, they're gonna come mid-calf to right above the ankle. So it's not gonna, it's going to be big and bulky, but just make sure that we have the correct information so that you guys get the cap and gowns really close to graduation, so that way we can make sure that everything fits. I always put this up. Usually I talk to students, so I'm not so used to having a big group of parents, but this is what you could look like. Now here, we're pretty good about making sure that all of the students have ordered and things like that. But again, I just wanna make sure, it just takes a lot of work off the back end. You know, last year Ms. Jennings had to call down a lot of students and report their heights and weights, and it just takes time from the day. So it's easy if you guys go online and purchase anything that you want or nothing that you want, just make sure to place the order for the cap and gown. I do talk a little bit, a lot of your students may have gotten a classroom last year. I always get parents and say, oh, we didn't get one, can we get one this year? Yes, it's not too late, it'll go right to your house, and you can design and order that directly online too. If you order everything at once, we do have flexible plans for you to make payments. As far as delivery information goes, any of the apparel items I talk about, like the sweatshirts, the sweatpants, you know, we have hats, we have bags, all of those items are delivered to your house about 2 weeks after you place the order. All of the paper items such as the graduation announcements, they're delivered here at school. Usually I try to get them here like at the beginning of March or mid-March. That's why it's important to order now, so that we can start the printing process of them. Because when you receive your packet, you'll see that it's not just something that's photocopied, it has the nice seal and things like that. Another thing is the announcements do not come with their name cards, so you have to purchase those separately. But again, all of this, if you do get a package, is in the package, and it'll kind of prompt you to do that online. As I mentioned before, the cap and gown will be given to the girls, I think like usually during graduation rehearsal, so it's closer to graduation. Again, that's why it's so important to make sure that we put the correct height and weight in for your students. So I do have a senior order week, and it is coming up now. So just go on to our website this week and place your orders for any items that you would like. Again, I do this just because it's fresh in your mind now, and it's just another way to check off the box. It's a lot different talking to the parents and being here at Elizabeth Seton, because you guys are pretty good about doing everything on time. So I work at a lot of schools, and that's not always the case. So, does anybody have any questions? Like I said, at the end of everything, before you all leave, just make sure to grab a packet so you have the QR code. But if you want to go on your computer, johnsons.com, Elizabeth Seton, make sure it's in Bladensburg, Maryland, because there might be more than one Elizabeth Seton out there. So does anybody have any questions for me? Yes.
How many announcement cards have you actually did versus how many you are actually allowed to attend?
So the announcements don't invite anybody to the graduation. It actually says, you know, admission by ticket only on it. So you can purchase as many announcements that you want. You can just put in, usually they come in bundles of 25, and they do come with the inner and outer envelope, but most families, if you want less than that, you can put in a separate quantity. I don't know how many tickets you get for graduation. Do you know? How many tickets for graduation?
You'll get 2 tickets for the baccalaureate mass, and I believe it's 8 tickets for the graduation. That's not always
And the name cards, you can order those as well.
Yes. Yeah. So all of this is online, and it'll have the picture of the announcement. This year I was able to get samples in time so you guys can see it. Do I have any other questions? Well, it's nice to meet you all. I look forward to your exciting year for your students. Thank you.
So I have one other kind of senior road to graduation announcements. There was a letter in the parent announce yesterday talking about the Jostens information, also talking about like the graduation rehearsals. So we talk to the girls about it all the time closer to the end of the year, but I want to let all the parents know as well. So there are 3 graduation rehearsals. The first one is Monday, May 20th at 9 a.m. to noon, and that is at Elizabeth Seton. On Tuesday, May 21st, it's 9 to 11 at the Basilica at the National Shrine. However, transportation will be provided if students need it. And then the third one is on May 22nd from 9 to 11 at Elizabeth Seton. These rehearsals are required, as that's where they get into their lines and they know what they're doing, and especially the rehearsal at the shrine so that they can, the marble slippery, they can have their shoes on, they can know what it feels like to be there, and how important it is to know where they're going to be standing and walking in and whatnot. Again, baccalaureate is 9 a.m. Here at the Mahler Center, and commencement is at 4 o'clock at the Basilica of the National Shrine. So it's 2 guests when at the baccalaureate here. Graduation is at 4 p.m. at the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. On the last rehearsal, each family will receive 15 general seating tickets and 2 primary seat tickets at the Shrine for graduation. So you can get a max of 15 tickets at the Shrine, but 2 are in like the primary seating where you're closer. The Senior Awards Night is another graduation activity where we showcase the achievements of the students. While we cannot guarantee each graduate will receive an award, we can guarantee they will be acknowledged in some way. And the Senior Awards Night is Tuesday, May 21st from 6:30 to 8:30 in the Mahler Center. Are there any questions about this? And all of this information is in the parent announce.
Are there tickets required for the awards night?
No.
Okay. For clarification, before you said graduation, you get 8 tickets?
I was incorrect. That's why I had to find this form.
So it's 15 total,
Mhm.
2 for the front section of the shrine, and then the others.
Yeah, a max of 15, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, and without that, I'm gonna ask Ms. Hammond Davis to come out here and get started on the financial aid.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk a little louder because there is a little problem with the ones who are streaming. So, I'm going to ask if you can hear me, say yes. I'm sorry, I'm asking the streaming. All right. Okay. So let's get started with this presentation, but before I do, I want to just set the stage here. I'm going to be presenting quite a few slides, and after 1 or 2, I will ask you if you have any questions about what I've just presented, okay? All right, here we go. Very good, yes, they can hear me. Okay, so today we are going to talk about federal student aid, state student aid that comes from colleges, and scholarships from other sources. So Sallie Mae, which is a loan company, did a survey. They normally do a survey every year about who actually pays for college. So, this survey was done in 2023. 53% comes from parent and student income savings, 20% student and parent borrowing, 25% scholarships and grants, and 2% from contributions and relatives and friends. So as you can see, parent income and savings are the #1 source of funding. We just had someone from Hampton University, I'm not sure if any of you attended the college admissions panel discussion, and she talked about the monies that are coming from the federal government. they have no idea right now how much they're going to receive. And so she reminded us that the cost of college is on the family. So there are billions of dollars available every year through the federal government. And this money is split in like 4 different ways. Grants and scholarships that do not have to be paid back. Work study, where students will work and receive a check. And then the L word loans that no one wants to hear, but over 40% of those billions of dollars are available in the form of loans. So how do you apply for this money, this federal money? There is an application called the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. No worries, you will receive this presentation. If you'd like to take the pictures, go for it, but I will send you this presentation because you'll need it, and I'm sure you're not gonna remember everything. I wouldn't remember everything that I'm saying today. All right, so the form is called the FAFSA, FAFSA.gov or studentaid.gov. Now, there is a small change this year. The federal government is renewing, they're doing an overhaul after 40 or so years of this FAFSA form. So normally it's available October 1st. But this year, it has yet been decided the actual date. Now, the federal government says it will be available in December. All right? So I put December/January, just in case. So, the new FAFSA will be available December, January. When it comes out, we will definitely let you know. It should be available in 2024 because students are going to fill this out every year. They're in college. So next year, it should be available in October as usual. But again, it's a new form. They're still working it out. It should be available in December. So this is what the FAFSA.gov website looks like today. However, it may change. We'll let you know. So who's eligible for this financial aid? So students must be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. So they must have a green card. Students must also have a valid social security number. They must have a diploma. So after they've graduated high school, they'll get that information at the college, but they have to have a high school diploma in order for the monies to be dispersed, all right? And they must be working towards a degree or certificate in an eligible program at a college or career school that participates in the federal student aid programs. They must maintain satisfactory academic progress once enrolled. Any questions about what I've said so far? So the question is, will students need to get a diploma or send that diploma to the colleges once the students have graduated? So we, the school, will send the final transcript to the colleges. On this final transcript, it will say, graduated on such and such a date. Great question. Anyone else about what I've said? All right. So who completes this FAFSA? So one parent and the student who's going to college. But there is a little change this year. Normally, it was the parent who lives 51% of the time with the student. Now the federal government is saying that it is the one, if you are divorced or separated, it is the one who provides the most financial assistance for the student. Hopefully that'll change, but right now that's what it is. So, today, my 12th grade students, you can, and families, you can create an FSA ID. Why do you need this? Because this is how you are going to sign the FAFSA form that you are providing online. So you will need a cell phone, you will need a email address, okay? You will need your social security number, student and parent, who's going to help fill out this form. You must keep these passwords secure and the answers because, again, you are going to be completing this form every year your child is in college for the first 4 years, okay? You will use this every year your child is in college. It is your electronic signature. Parents need only one FSA ID for their children. Hands raised for those who already have a child in undergrad now. If you have an FSA ID, you do not need to get another one. Parents only get the one FSA ID for all of their children. However, the child, all of the children need a separate FSA ID. All right, and so I have added the FSA ID, create an account link, so that when you get this PowerPoint, you can just click on that link and go to the area where you will get your FSA ID for the student and the parent. All right, so not the parents who already have one. Any questions on that? Yes. So the student creates an FSA ID and the parent creates an FSA ID. Two totally separate ID numbers. Question? All right. So why do you do this? It's because the federal government needs to see how much you make, basically, right? Your income, your assets, and all of that. And then they're going to come up with a number that we knew as the EFC, but now it's changed to the SAI, Student Aid Index. So, normally we would have an EFC calculator that I would send you to see how much that may be, but right now the federal government does not have it available. I looked at it the other day. I was able to do an SAI quote estimate. The next day I went and it was completely gone. So again, the federal government is not ready, but when it is ready, we'll let you know so that you can go in and see that SAI that they're going to be using for your children this year and the years prior. So if you have students who are in college, they're going to use this new FAFSA. It's going to look totally different. Now, okay, no, not. Keep going. So the cost of attendance, all right, minus whatever the government says your student aid index will be based on the income, the assets, and everything that you put into the FAFSA form. So the cost of attendance, room, board, book fees, tuition, transportation, minus your student aid index equals your demonstrated need. I'll explain that further in a minute. Now the colleges will try to meet that demonstrated need at a specific percentage. For example, the University of Maryland meets it at 65%. All right, so whatever your demonstrated need number is, they're going to meet it at 65%. So, for example, let's just say ABC College is $35,000 a year. And after you have completed all of the information in the FAFSA and your SAI comes out to be $10,000, this is an estimate, right? It's not your exact amount that you would pay, but let's just say it's $10,000 out of pocket. Then your need, your demonstrated need for that college is $25,000. Now, if it was the University of Maryland that's going to provide 65% of that $25,000, who pays the rest? The family. Right. Question. Yes.
Yes, can you go back to the slide for the University of Maryland, please? Because it says average percent of these met.
Right. It's average, and this was as of 2019, 20. So it may have gone up or it may have gone down. This is an average, yes.
And it looks like for some people, it's actually 4%, so there's a big money.
Yes. And say that again so I can say it to the streaming audience. What was your question again?
It looks like a percentage of the recipients not full 100%. So it looks like there must be a range of percent needs met.
Right, there is quite a range of percent of the students' need met. Right, you are absolutely right. 65% is going to be what it is. The average award right now is $13,361. At this time, I think University of Maryland was probably a little under 30,000, but now they're about 32, 33. So, yes, it is an estimate. The percentage may change. This is 2024, 25. Your seniors are going into school. So it may be more or it may be less. All right, so let's just say that the college is $50,000, and when you have completed the FAFSA says, or the federal government says, that you can contribute $25,000, right, out of pocket per year. So then your demonstrated need is you need $25,000. So the colleges will try to meet at a certain percentage that $25,000. There are some colleges that will meet it at 60, 70, 80, some meet it at 100. All right, so yeah, this is what it is. Question. So the question is, how will the colleges meet this money? Through the federal loans, through federal, remember the 4 that I talked about? Grants, scholarships, work study, loans. All right? And that's how they'll meet the demonstrated need. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Tufts University here, and they're $90,000 a year. Yep. And so let's just say you completed the FAFSA, and the federal government says that you can contribute $40,000, right? Your demonstrated need then would be $50,000. And this is what I say to parents who always say to me, I make too much money. Think about this. $90,000 a year times 4. Now, if this was you, and you could contribute $40,000, do you think you need to fill out the FAFSA form? I need to hear a yes or a no. Thank you. All right, so let's squash that thing that says, oh, I make too much money. Doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with the demonstrated need after the high-priced college. All right. Whew. All right, I'm a parent, right? And so sometimes I get a little warm talking about this because I have been where you are, right? And I have paid loans and all of this and received receive scholarships. So, yeah, it is quite expensive. So let's talk about the net price calculator. Every college that receives federal money have the net price calculator on their website. So you go to their website, search on net price calculator, and it will come up asking you some information about income. Some of them will ask you your child's GPA. Some of them will ask you other information and provide you with the net price you will pay, maybe at an estimate, after scholarships, grants, and loans have been provided. Questions on that? So, from the federal government, here are some things that students could receive based on income. So the federal Pell Grant for 23-24 was $7,395, period. Okay, $7,395, and this is for students who have low income. Also available is the TEACH grant. At some colleges, the TEACH grant is available for students who are thinking about going into education, who are going into teaching. And so they may have a TEACH grant at their college. Not all colleges will have it. The next is this thing called subsidized and unsubsidized loans, totaling $5,500. The first year your child is in college, they will receive, or they will be offered $5,500 in two different ways. Subsidized is a specific amount that's given to students they're not charged interest while they're in college. The unsubsidized portion, students will be charged interest while they are in college. All right, so that total is $5,500. So you could get half in a direct, half in an unsubsidized, one subsidized, one unsubsidized, totaling $5,500. And then there's another FSEOG, that's what we call it. It's usually for career schools. They will have $4,000 to offer families of low income. And then you have the federal work study. So there is money available for students to work on campus or off campus, and they will provide them with a check or money in their account or something for that work. It only goes up to a certain amount, maybe $1,500, $1,700 per year for that. And then there's the Federal Plus loan that parents can receive. So it depends on how much you make. You'll have to fill out the credit report and all of that for the actual school, its financial aid office. They can provide you, the parents, with a Federal Plus loan. And usually you can get the money you need, but we always tell parents to make sure that you are only getting a minimum amount, okay? So I had a student, not at this school, all right? I had a student who said to me last year, Miss Hammond Davis, my dad is going to pay $35,000 in a loan. I'm like, what? Can you imagine $140,000 after those 4 years, right? So think about the monies that you are going to be putting your signature to. All right, so yeah. And I saw a hand. Did someone have a question? No? We're good? Anybody have a question on this? Yes, ma'am. So the question is, the student asked for the TEACH grant in freshman, sophomore year, and then decide in their junior year that they do not want to teach. Well, that $8,000 becomes a loan. Great question. question. All right, so let's take off, let me just move to the side for a second because, I just want to talk about one other financial aid form. Some of your students will be applying to colleges, like I mentioned, Tufts for $90,000, and any of the Ivy League college, any of your top tier colleges like Johns Hopkins, Cal Poly, MIT, more of those big high-priced colleges. Some of those colleges have another financial aid form. It is called the CSS profile. The CSS profile, all right? This one is a bit different from the FAFSA. So let's talk about that. Number one, there's more questions on this one than the FAFSA because they get more in depth into the parents' finances. So with the FAFSA, the custodial parent or the one who makes the most fills out the FAFSA form. With the CSS profile, this form wants the custodial parents' financial information and the non-custodial parents' financial information. The FAFSA does not ask for equity in your home. The CSS profile does. The FAFSA is free. However, the CSS profile is $25 for the first fee, for the first college, and $16 for every college after that. So the new FAFSA, remember this new one is not available yet. The new FAFSA comes out hopefully in December. The CSS profile is available next week, October 1st. So check with your colleges to see if, or your child's colleges to see if you need to start completing the CSS profile. Do not complete it unless you have to, because who wants to pay money that they don't have to pay? So some colleges may also have additional forms for you to complete, depending on the college. I have given you the link to the colleges that require the CSS profile. Now, even though it opens October 1st, it doesn't mean that you have to rush and fill it out, but you do want to try to meet the deadline, the CSS profile or financial aid deadline of that college, which might be December 1. Questions about the CSS profile? You and then you. Yes, ma'am. So the question is for families who have two in the household. You would fill out the FAFSA as normal because the FAFSA is going to ask for both incomes. The information that I am providing are for separated and divorced parents for the FAFSA. Okay. Question. Absolutely. So the student, when they apply to the colleges will tell them whether or not they should complete the FAFSA. However, I'm giving you the list, so you don't need to wait. You will see which colleges provides or needs the CSS profile. All you need to do is click on that link. I'm going to send you this PowerPoint, and you will see all the colleges so you don't have to wait. Yes.
Question about the CSS. It says it's a $25 application for college and then 16 per. Is this in addition to the college's application fee?
Is this in addition to the college's application fee? Absolutely, yes. This is a different fee. So the $25 is for the first CSS profile school that you send it to. If you need to send it to another CSS college, it's $16 after that. The same information, yes. So it's like when you fill out the FAFSA form, this year they're going to ask you how many colleges do you want to send this information. This year it'll change from 10 to 20 colleges, the new FAFSA. So you can send that same information free of charge to those 20. The CSS profile, you can do the same for the 4, 5, or 6, but you're going to pay the fee at the end of the application for all of the colleges. They'll total them all up for you. Yes.
So if APSA
So the question is, you're going to be applying to colleges like in October, and this FAFSA doesn't come out until December. Are you going to change information? No. Remember I said Hampton University's rep was here a few weeks ago, and she talked about them not knowing what their federal budget is. So you can apply to the college today. You can get accepted today. But if any federal monies are going to be distributed to your students, it will come sometime in April, March, April timeframe. You will see the offer letter. Did I answer your question? Okay, yes. That's coming up soon, yes.
Okay, so I guess my question probably is, I will go over it on the next slide, but is the FAFSA like kind of running effect check on the parents' information? Because I'm asking because in this day and age, a lot of us might have freezes on our account. So I just know it's like.
So the college would be the one, if you are asking for a Parent Plus loan, the colleges will be the one, whatever loan officing company that they will use, they will be the ones who will be asking the credit, about the credit, right? Okay. All right, so let's talk about the need-based monies at the colleges. So based on, you get need-based based on your financial position of the family. So colleges will have quite a few ways to provide students with money. So one is through financial aid. You will find some colleges that only provide financial aid. Johns Hopkins University Director of Undergraduate Admissions was here 3 weeks ago, and he said they are only financial aid. So they don't provide merit-based scholarships, but they do provide a lot of financial aid for families. So it would be in the financial position of the family, and the parents will have to complete the FAFSA form, and based on that SIA, the Student Aid Index. And it also provides it would be the demonstrated need of the family that the colleges would award or offer for financial aid. So that's one way. The next way is merit-based scholarships. Now, merit-based scholarships are provided to students who are doing well or have performed well as far as the college is concerned in athletics, academics, leadership, band, music, STEAM. I should have put an A there because arts is there as well. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and more. So there's merit-based scholarships at the colleges, and they will provide that information or those scholarships to the students when they apply to the college. Now, the award has nothing to do with the financial position of the family. These scholarships come from the college and are renewable every year most of the time. All right, so most of the time, the students will get this every year, but of course, there are requirements. Number one, students have to meet a specific GPA in order to keep it. The students will sign the letter when they get to the financial aid office, and they'll see what that GPA is and other requirements as well in order to keep that money coming every year. So students, right, they receive them up. So sometimes students will receive this merit-based scholarships just by applying to the college. And so sometimes the letter will say, welcome, whatever the student's name is, we accept you into our college because of your leadership. We are providing you with $25,000 a year times 4, totaling $100,000 a year. That is the wording in the letter. The next paragraph says, also, if you would like additional monies, please complete the FAFSA form. Okay, so there's merit, there's financial aid at some colleges as well. All right, so these scholarships come from the college, renewable every year. Now, some of them will ask for a separate application. There are some colleges, when the student is accepted, normally the college, if the student qualifies for a specific scholarship that they have, they will ask the student, please complete this scholarship. You qualify for this scholarship, please complete this if you would like whatever amount it is. So it depends on the actual college. Any questions on that? The next thing, so we've talked about the federal government. Somebody had a hand, yes. So it depends on the college. Her question is, do students receive it if they're applying early admission? So, good old University of Maryland College Park. Let's talk about them for a second. If you apply by November 1st, students will be considered for all of their special programs and all of their scholarships, their merit-based scholarships. All right? So if you apply January 20th, which is that regular decision, that's not available to you. Over 90% of the students who are accepted at the University of Maryland will be accepted November 1. So, some colleges will provide scholarship money only to students who are applying early. Some Some colleges will give you the money when you apply early action. Some colleges will apply rolling. It all depends on the college, and that's why you have to do your homework to look at some of these colleges and say, okay, when should we apply? They will give you that information. It's usually on the common application, or it's within their, on their website. Anyone else have a question before I move forward? All right. So we've talked about the federal government. Let's talk about the state. So most of you live in the state of Maryland. So Maryland has millions of dollars available for students as well. So there is another registration account that students will have to receive. It's from the Maryland Higher Education Commission, right? So state grants are available. They may be available through, some of them will be for income eligibility, but not all of them. Also, this is the form that students will complete if they are not U.S. citizens. So there is money available through what we call MISFA, Maryland State Financial Aid Assistance. So if students are, not a U.S. citizen, then they may be able to receive money through the state. So students will fill out the MD CAPS, that's what it's called, the Maryland College Application Processing System, right? So they're going to use a personal email, and then there is some other information that students will have to complete, documentation that students will have to upload. I will be here to help them. Normally, students will not fill this out until January, February. So we'll talk about MD CAPS during that time. All right, and let's see. They may have to request an IRS transcript, and we'll talk about that. It's a free transcript from the IRS that you get from irs.gov, and that may have to be uploaded to the MD CAPS website. So we've got federal monies, we've got state monies, also available through the state of Maryland. This is for lower income, the Guaranteed Access Grant. Last year it was $19,400. It might go up this year, right? So they received this $19,400. It's available every year. Also, there is the Educational Assistance Grant, $3,000. If students are going to school part-time, there's a $2,000, up to $2,000, and then there's a transfer grant. Scholarship, that's $2,000. So students must plan to attend college in Maryland, but there are some exceptions. So in order to receive the Maryland state money, most of the time, the students have to attend a college in Maryland. The other thing is there may be a college through the academic common market, and I talked about this on Scholarship Saturday. Scholarship Saturdays, I'll show you the recording. It is there if you want to hear about it. The academic common market. There may be a college in another state, public college in another state, that may offer students in-state tuition instead of out-of-state tuition if the students come there pursuing a specific degree. Now, I talked about that in Scholarship Saturday. I will show you what that is and where it is at the end. Questions? Yes. Good question. Does it have to be public or private? In most cases, it can be a private school because it's still in the state of Maryland. Now, there is a partnership with some of the private schools that if students receive the Guaranteed Access Grant for the $19,000 or what if it's $15,000, these colleges listed will match that particular scholarship. So let's just say they receive $15,000 grant from the state and they're attending this private college. The private college will give them an additional $15,000. Now this is for low income families. So there's also the Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship. These are for students who are going to community college first. And so the requirements are 2.3 GPA unweighted, $100,000 up to, the single parent cannot make over $100,000. The two-parent household cannot make over $150,000. They must complete the MD CAPS form in the Maryland form, and they must complete the FAFSA or the MISFA. Questions on that? Also available through the state of Maryland are senatorial, delegate, and elected official scholarships. All of them have money. And I will show you how to get that money. Probably in February, the information will come out. I will show you exactly what to say to them, give you the wording to provide these elected officials so that you can try to get some of that money through the state. Okay, so I will show you how to go to mdelect.net. Can't go there yet. be next year. You'll enter your Maryland address to find your senator, your state senator, your delegates, and your elected officials. All right, so that will be in February, March time frame. You must complete the MD caps and you must complete the FAFSA in order to get any of this money. Yes, question.
This screen, do you have to attend a Maryland college or university for this money?
Yes, you have to attend Maryland, for any Maryland state monies, the requirement is that you attend a Maryland state school unless you attend a school within the academic common market for the most part, yeah. So the deadline for Maryland, so completing the FAFSA form, now this might change because remember the FAFSA is not even out yet. Now normally the Maryland state will have a deadline of March 1st. This may be pushed to April or May. We will let you know. All right, so when I say that, if students are interested in any of the Maryland state monies, they will have to provide the information for the Maryland Higher Education Commission by March 1st. And I think that's probably going to be pushed to April or May, but we will find out. Okay, you must follow the college's deadline. Normally, the University of Maryland's FAFSA deadline was January 1, but they had to change it to March 1st because the FAFSA is not available till December. So check with the colleges to see when the financial aid deadline for that college will be. Okay, plan to fill this out as soon as it's available before the college's deadline. And we will tell you about more of that soon. For DC residents, there is the Tuition Assistance Grant, DC TAG, and it's available in February every year, and it's up to $10,000. Now this one can go for any school in any state. This is the Tuition Assistance Grant for DC. And that usually comes out in February, all right? So again, the CSS profile deadline is October 1st. And make sure you're following the college's deadline for that. Plan to fill it out as soon as you can, all right? Now you will need your, okay, I'll talk about that in a second. This is an example of a financial aid letter. So it talks about the tuition, the room and board, the books, and all of that the college costs. So the total cost for this college is $27,545. Now the student was offered monies that totaled $25,545. As you can see, there is a $2,000 gap between what the college costs and what the college offered. Sometimes you will see a gap, 2,000, 5,000, 20,000, and more. All right, just letting you know. But this is a good one. This one has merit-based scholarships. So this is the one that you will normally see. This one is $27,545 for the college and $27,545 for the award that's given to the students. So not all colleges are the same. So if your child is applying to 3 or 4 colleges, you will see 3 or 4 different award letters. It's based on the budget of the college and how many students they are admitting each year, how much money they have for merit, how much money they have for financial aid, how much money they're being given from donors. Yep. So the question is there a cap on parent plus loan, and how much can you get? Right? Is that what you asked? And is that the best that a parent can do? So, right. So right now, unless it has changed, the federal monies from last year, the interest rate was about 6.8%. If you can find a loan less than that, so, it's 6.8%. Now, that may go up this year. Now, it was capped at 6.8, but again, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Congress that the right and the left sometimes don't agree, right? They are the ones who are making these decisions. So we have no idea yet what that's going to be. Okay? Appeal letters. So sometimes when colleges provide students with the offer letter, sometimes you may run into a chance to provide more information in an appeal letter if you have extenuating circumstances. So some of these are extenuating circumstances. So because remember, I'm not sure if I said this yet, it's going to be on another slide. You are using your 2022 tax information for this FAFSA form, 2022 for the class of 2024. If you are a junior, you will use the 2023 for the 2025, all right, fall year, where your children are going to college. So, if there has been some changes within 2022 and now, you may have a chance to write an appeal letter. All right, so if you meet any of these, you would contact the financial aid office, write a letter with some documentation to it, and they may be able to provide more money based on their budget. Okay? Now, all of you sitting in this room have an extenuating circumstance. And the funny thing is, sometimes you can't find this unless you dig. So I dug for you through the federal government website. Here are other special professional judgments. Now I want you to look at the one that you qualify for. Tuition expenses at an elementary school or secondary school. All right? So this is not public knowledge all the time. So what I would suggest is that you start writing that letter now, even if you're a parent in junior year. Start writing the letter why your child is here, why your child has been, if they've gone through the whole 12 years in private school. Talk about the education systems in your county, why the child is here, why you haven't been able to save the money. This is the information you need to share, and then share your documentation. Now, all colleges will not provide money for you, but some may, depending on their budget, but it is worth a try. So I will provide, if needed, times for you to complete the FAFSA form. Now, I can't tell you what to put in the FAFSA because this is your FAFSA document, but I can be here to say or explain a line, this goes on that line, this goes on that line, do this, do that, but I can't tell you what to put. So if there's a time, and I will make this probably in January, I will set up a Google form for parents and students to, if you've never done this before and you need some help with the FAFSA, I may be able to help you with that. If you don't need it, hallelujah. There's also help through the FAFSA. So while you are doing or completing the application, call that 1-800 number. They will help you step by step through this FAFSA form. And eventually, when the federal government has finally made up their mind, they will have YouTubes on how to do this step by step. And I will give you all the information that I have when it is available. Any questions on that? We are almost done. So here are the things that you may need to collect right now. All right, must be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident. These are for FAFSA completers. Make sure you have a valid email address. Now, let's talk about this email address. This should be an address that you are going to open specifically for scholarships and financial aid. You will have to decide, students, if this is Seton email address is where you want to put this. You might want to name it. My name is Cynthia. Mine would be cynthia@scholarshipsofinancialaid@gmail.com. All right? So that I would know that when I open up this email, it's about scholarships and FAFSA. And then my children shared their email addresses with me when it came to the financial aid form, because the colleges will treat your students as the adult. The parents will not get this information. So I had to go in with my son's information, his password, and get this information and find out what's needed. Because sometimes there's a time limit. Okay? All right, here I go with the parent stuff. Okay. Email address of the parent. So email address of the parent, email of the student. This is going to be different from my parents who have done this before. This year, the new FAFSA. The student will go in with their email address and password, fill out their information, and then provide the FAFSA with your email. The new part is then the parents will receive an email from the federal government. You open that account and you start filling out your side. And then you submit it. After everything is submitted, the student then gets the summary, not the parent. Okay. All right. So, list of colleges. You can list up to 20 colleges in the new FAFSA. You don't have to have 20 colleges, but if you did, you could list those colleges so that information could go to those colleges, your SAI number. So the parents and the student, date of birth, that's needed. The student's social security number, parent social security number, student alien registration green card, if that's applicable. The parent's personal email address, parent's date of marriage if they're married, parents' W-2 forms 2022, and their tax form 2022. So you all can start gathering this information. Any record of untaxed income and other documentation may be required. The items above can take time to find and collect. Please gather this information now. So when the FAFSA is ready, so are you. Now, if your students are working and they also file taxes, the same applies for them. Question on that? If the child has a trust fund, an UTMA or an UGMA or anything else like that, that would be considered a child's asset, yes. All right, so for the Maryland State, for those students who may not be able to complete the FAFSA form, the same information is needed for the families. Now, this year, every parent will have to have an FSA ID. If the parent is not a U.S. citizen, there will be a way for that parent to get an FSA ID. They haven't figured that out yet, but we will let you know when they do. Okay? All right, the only difference really with the MISPA, the Maryland State Financial Aid, is that the family will have to show 3 years of tax information, 2021, 22, and 23. This is only for those who cannot fill out the FAFSA. So finding scholarships, okay, so internet, there's a lot of scholarships websites. Your the counseling office, me and some of your counselors, or Mr. Blucksky or Ms. Daniel, yep, will provide scholarship information for you. When you get to college, make the financial aid office your best friend. They have the money, right? And so you are going to make sure that you connect with them so that you can find out any scholarships you may be able to apply. And then, of course, your state of Maryland, and then there are private scholarships as well, like sororities, fraternities, employers, civic organizations. Now, I have something called Virtual Scholarship Saturdays, every Saturday from 10 to 11. My seniors are working with me at this time, and we are going through some of the scholarships that are available. And it is not just to sit and get information. I will talk for about 15, 20 minutes, and then the rest of the time the students will be filling out applications. Okay? And I have recordings, so 11th grade parents and students, you do not have to wait until your senior year to see what's available. You can start collecting this information now, filling out the application now until, get it ready for next year, because there's a lot to do. Here are some websites that may be helpful to you: the FAFSA.gov, Maryland State, CSS Profile. The College Navigator is a tool used by the government. Every college that receives federal monies have to provide you with financial information and more. So the College Navigator, if you go on that website and just put in the college's name, you can see everything about that college, including doing a net price calculator. So let's recap. So start gathering, create that FSA ID, My Senior Families. Start gathering that financial information, 2022 tax documents, W-2s, bank statements. Have a valid email address, parent and student, social security number, parent and student. All right, you can research the net price calculator on the College Navigator that I give you. And I've also given you the CSS profile colleges that need that form. And lastly, I'm going to show you the College Counselor website. So in this website, you will see scholarships and financial aid. Here are scholarships of the month that I will have. This is a scholarship database. If you click on that, you will see scholarships that are available. Also, there are other websites that I have here. Last week we talked about fastweb.com. Students made an account. And then FAFSA information is here. And then right here, ladies and gentlemen, is that CSS profile form that I mentioned. Here it is. Here are all of the colleges that want it if this is a CSS profile. So you are a CSS profile domestic student. If you click on yes here, you will get all of the colleges that want that CSS profile. That helpful? All right, and I am just about done. Yep, and here are some more scholarship searches. Any questions? There is my email address. All right. Okay, yes, question. Early decision, November 1st. Yes. So she's asking about early decision and you haven't filled out the FAFSA form. Early decision are those colleges that want you to have a binding contract. So the binding contract means that you are applying to this college. If you get into the college, you are going to cancel all of the other colleges and come to our school. Sometimes you may not know how much money you have received before you can say yes, you're attending. But if you are binding, then they're saying yes, you're coming because this is a binding contract. You signed it, your parents signed it, your counselor signed it, and everybody has read the fine print. Talking about the fine print. Make sure that you are looking at the fine print to say, if it says, we will accept you to the school. However, if you have a financial situation that you cannot attend this college because of that, then you can wait until all of your college acceptances have come in and their financial aid award letters for you to make a decision. That is the only way you will be able to get out of this binding contract. Please read the fine print, because not all early decision colleges provide this information. Yes. At the early action. Yes. Early decision, you can, if you get into the college, you can only apply to one early decision school. However, you can apply to as many early action schools like the University of Maryland. Okay? So, yes. Now, the University of Maryland, even though they say it's an early action deadline and you're going to find out if you got in, you will find out Friday, the last Friday in January, if you have gotten in to the University of Maryland when you apply November 1. Any other questions about early decision, early action? Yes. It can be the same date. So, some colleges, I was helping a student today, I can't remember the name of the college, had an early decision day of November 1 and an early action day of November 1, a regular decision day of January. So the student had to decide which application deadline they were going to submit. But I told them about the ED, early decision, and the EA, early action. They decided early action. That's not the binding. Okay, some of them get into a little restrictive early action. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. So the question is about a gap year. If students apply to the college this year, they receive a scholarship, but then they contact the college and tell them they're going to do a gap year, will the scholarship follow them the next year? It depends on the college. I can tell you one that does not, the University of Maryland. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so we ask students to click save, I'm sorry. There's one that says save and come back later, and one that says they're finished. When they click on finish, they can't get it back. Just email us, we can provide the information for the student, and it won't open it back up, but it will. She can reopen it. Hallelujah. There you go. Any other questions? Because my feet are getting tired. Are we good? All right, I'm here. I just retired from MCPS after 31 years, Montgomery County Public Schools. So now I am at Seton, kind of part-time. I will be here starting next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 10:30, that means lunchtime to after school, and then I have evening times, because I want to be available when students are available. There's no sense of me being here and students are in class, right? And then I have Saturday hours. So your seniors, if you want a time to get things done, just come, email me, and we will try to figure out that time. Now, we are getting close to the November 1 deadline, so individual times may not be available. There will be group times. Today, I worked with students during all of the lunches in Ms. Cook's old room, so if students want to do that, I will be here tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, again, next week, and then following that, all right? All right, people, thank you all so much for coming. The Opportunities Handbook. This is free of charge. And in here it talks about the FAFSA, and it gives you on page 17 all of the steps to create the FSAID. All right, so very good.